Brian Callahan is out as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. The organization fired Callahan today after a 1-5 start to his second season leading the team.
In a shocking move, the Titans fired Brian Callahan after only 6 games this season. Following a brutal 1-5 start, the team decided to hit the reset button, sending shockwaves through the NFL.
But there's also an improvement that was needed in Tennessee. That did not happen. There wasn't, at least on tape, didn't see to be on a ton of buy-in from some players when it came to...
The Titans released an official statement at 9:30 a.m. Central Time on Monday. Team owner Amy Adams Strunk announced that Brian Callahan had been relieved of his duties as head coach effective immediately. The statement thanked Callahan for his contributions but cited the need for a new direction given the team's performance. Defensive coordinator Shane Bowen will serve as interim head coach for the remainder of the season. Brian Callahan was hired by the Titans in January 2024 after spending 5 seasons as the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. He signed a 5-year contract worth approximately $35 million. Callahan was brought in to revitalize a Titans offense that had struggled under the previous coaching regime. The franchise believed his experience working with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati would translate to success in Tennessee. The 2025 season for the Tennessee Titans started amid cautious optimism. The club had secured the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft and used it to select quarterback Cam Ward. Meanwhile, veteran signal caller Will Levis underwent shoulder surgery and was placed on injured reserve, eliminating him from contention for the season. The front office also made roster investments, though not exactly as originally reported. For example, the team signed quarterback Tim Boyle to compete for backup duties. But reality quickly diverged from hopes. The Titans opened the season 1-5, and on the 13th of October 2025, the organization officially relieved Brian Callahan of his head coaching duties. At the time of his dismissal, Callahan's cumulative record with Tennessee stood at 4-19, comprising a 3-14 mark in 2024 and a 1-5 start in 2025. The Titans' 2025 record positioned them at 1-5, placing them last in the AFC South. Thus, the Titans' sole victory came in Week 5, not Week 4, and not by a margin consistent with the earlier narrative. From those performances, the offense struggled mightily. Reports cited the Titans averaged among the worst yards per play in the league and were criticized for overall offensive ineptitude. The lack of offensive consistency and progression contributed heavily to the decision to fire Callahan. Rumors of internal discord surfaced after multiple losses. According to some sources, tensions in the locker room had grown, with criticism centering on confusing game plans, inconsistent communication, and a lack of cohesion. While I found no verified quotes such as, "We don't know what we're doing out there," those reports of instability were part of the narrative around the team's downward spiral. Will Levis was expected to enter the 2025 season as the Tennessee Titans starting quarterback, but that plan was derailed before the first snap. After undergoing surgery to repair a lingering shoulder injury suffered late in 2024, Levis was officially ruled out for the entire 2025 campaign. His absence forced the Titans to pivot toward their rookie quarterback, Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. It marked a rapid change in direction for a team that had hoped to continue Levis's development under head coach Brian Callahan. Levis's career up to that point had been promising but uneven. In his first 2 NFL seasons, he completed 61% of his passes for 21 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, displaying flashes of arm strength and poise, but also bouts of inconsistency behind a struggling offensive line. Entering 2025, Tennessee's front office had invested heavily in protecting him and adding speed on offense, hoping Callahan's system developed during his time as offensive coordinator in Cincinnati could unlock Levis's full potential. Instead, his injury left the team dependent on an untested rookie and a reworked playbook that never found rhythm. Cam Ward was thrown into a challenging situation from the moment he took the field. At just 22 years old, the former Washington State standout was thrust into a leadership role on a roster filled with veterans still adjusting to Callahan's offensive structure. The Titans' offensive line struggled to hold up in pass protection, and the team's running game failed to establish consistency without the dominant presence of Derrick Henry, who had departed in free agency. Ward's debut season was marked by flashes of talent, quick decision-making, strong deep ball accuracy, and mobility in the pocket, but also predictable growing pains. Turnovers, missed reads, and constant defensive pressure made it difficult for him to find momentum or develop chemistry with his receivers. As the team's record slipped to 1-5 through 6 weeks, frustration inside the organization intensified. Tennessee's offense ranked near the bottom of the league in scoring and total yardage, and morale appeared to be fading in the locker room. Analysts began questioning whether the coaching staff had created an environment conducive towards growth. The lack of offensive creativity, poor situational execution, and continuous protection breakdowns placed enormous pressure on the rookie quarterback to perform under adverse conditions. The breaking point came after a Week 6 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, a game in which the Titans once again failed to produce more than 2 offensive touchdowns. The following day, Brian Callahan was relieved of his duties as head coach. The decision was made after internal discussions among team owner Amy Adams Strunk, president of football operations Chad Brinker, and general manager Mike Borgonzi. The leadership group determined that the team had shown a lack of sufficient growth and that continuing with the same structure would hinder long-term progress. Callahan's dismissal ended a short and turbulent tenure in Nashville. In his 2 seasons with the franchise, he compiled a .419 record, one of the lowest winning percentages in Titans history for a coach who led the team for more than a single season. His background as an offensive strategist never translated into success on the field, and by mid-season 2025, his system appeared disconnected from the players executing it. Reports indicated that Callahan had already delegated play-calling duties earlier in the year in an attempt to reduce pressure and reassess the offensive approach. However, that adjustment failed to produce tangible improvement. In the wake of Callahan's firing, the Titans named veteran coach Mike McCoy as interim head coach for the remainder of the season. McCoy, a former head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, had been serving as a senior offensive assistant and brought decades of experience to a team desperate for stability. His role focused on restoring confidence in the locker room and providing a more structured environment for Cam Ward's development. The Titans' leadership emphasized that McCoy's appointment was temporary, but his reputation for working with young quarterbacks made him a logical choice to guide the team through the remainder of a disappointing campaign.
Branch and Juju continue to pass by, and he gives Juju a shot.
The post-game handshake line is meant for respect, a tap of the hand and move on. But on a tense Sunday in Kansas City, that tradition erupted. What should have been routine after the Chiefs defeated, the Lions spiraled into full-blown chaos, leaving Patrick Mahomes visibly enraged and Andy Reid demanding answers from league officials.
And that's where the whole thing began. It was Pacheco, Branch, Juju, and
The Kansas City Chiefs faced the Detroit Lions in a highly anticipated matchup that lived up to its billing. Both teams entered the game with playoff aspirations and championship mentalities. The Chiefs, led by 2-time Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes, were looking to maintain their position at the top of the AFC. The Lions, meanwhile, were determined to prove they belonged among the NFL's elite after years of rebuilding. The game itself was a physical battle from start to finish. Detroit's defense brought relentless pressure throughout the contest, hitting Mahomes multiple times and refusing to give the Kansas City offense easy yards. The Chiefs ultimately emerged victorious, but the real drama unfolded after the final whistle blew. As players from both teams gathered at midfield for the customary post-game handshake, tensions that had been building throughout 4 quarters finally boiled over. Lions safety Brian Branch, who had been involved in several heated exchanges during the game, appeared to throw a punch at a Chiefs player during the handshake line.
Branch and Juju continue to pass by, and he gives
Multiple cameras captured the incident from different angles, showing Branch making contact with his closed fist. The reaction from the Chiefs sideline was immediate and furious. Patrick Mahomes, still wearing his helmet, rushed toward the altercation. His face showed clear anger as he pointed and shouted in Branch's direction. Teammates had to physically restrain the quarterback to prevent the situation from escalating further. Mahomes continued yelling even as he was pulled away from the scene. Andy Reid was equally incensed by what transpired. The typically composed head coach was seen gesturing emphatically toward officials and appearing to demand explanations. Reid has coached in the NFL for over 3 decades and is known for his calm demeanor, making his visible frustration all the more striking. According to reports from TalkSport, both Mahomes and Reid were livid about the incident. The Chiefs organization released a statement following the game expressing their concerns about player safety and the sanctity of the post-game handshake tradition. The statement emphasized that such behavior has no place in professional football and called for swift action from the league office. Brian Branch has been one of the Lions' most productive defensive players this season. The second-year safety has recorded 78 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble through the first 12 games. His aggressive playing style has earned praise from coaches and teammates, but this incident raised questions about where the line between intensity and unsportsmanlike conduct should be drawn. The NFL launched an immediate review of the post-game altercation. league officials examined multiple video angles and gathered statements from players, coaches, and on-field personnel. The review process typically takes between 24 and 72 hours, depending on the complexity of the incident and the availability of evidence. According to league sources cited by TalkSport, the NFL is considering a range of disciplinary actions. These options include monetary fines ranging from $15,000 to $50,000 or a suspension of 1 to 2 games. The severity of the punishment will depend on several factors, including whether Branch's actions were deemed intentional, whether they posed a safety risk, and his previous disciplinary record with the league. This incident is not the first time post-game handshakes have turned contentious in the NFL. In 2011, Detroit Lions head coach Jim Schwartz and San Francisco 49ers head coach Jim Harbaugh had a heated confrontation following a game. In 2021, Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Max Crosby and Los Angeles Chargers players exchanged words that nearly turned physical. However, actual punches thrown during the handshake line remain relatively rare. The Chiefs have a history of maintaining discipline and professionalism under Andy Reid's leadership. The team has been penalized an average of 5.2 times per game this season, which ranks in the middle of the league. Mahomes himself has never been fined or suspended during his 7-year NFL career. His reputation as a clean player and team leader makes his furious reaction to Branch's actions particularly noteworthy. Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell addressed the incident in his post-game press conference.
I apologize to Coach Reid and the Chiefs and and Schuster. That's not okay. That's not what we do here.
Campbell stated that he had not seen the video of the altercation at that point, but promised to review it and address the situation with his team. He emphasized that the Lions play with passion and intensity, but must always maintain respect for opponents and the game itself. The incident has sparked debate across the NFL community about sportsmanship and player conduct. Former players appearing on various sports networks offered differing perspectives. Some argued that emotions run high in professional football and occasional flare-ups are inevitable. Others contended that players must exercise self-control regardless of circumstances, particularly after games have concluded. Patrick Mahomes addressed the media following the altercation. He declined to provide specific details about what was said or what exactly he witnessed, citing the ongoing NFL review. However, Mahomes made clear his disappointment that the post-game handshake tradition was compromised. He stated that players work extremely hard and compete fiercely during games, but once the final whistle sounds, professionalism must prevail. The Chiefs have another game scheduled in 6 days, meaning they will need to quickly move past this controversy and refocus on their next opponent. The team currently holds an 11-1 record and has already clinched a playoff berth. Their primary goal for the remainder of the regular season is securing home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. The Lions, meanwhile, are fighting for their playoff lives in a competitive NFC. They sit at 9-3 and are currently slated for a wild card spot. Detroit cannot afford distractions as they push toward what would be their first playoff appearance since 2016. If Brian Branch receives a suspension, the Lions would be forced to adjust their defensive game plan and rely more heavily on backup safeties. NFL insider Adam Schefter reported that the league office planned to conclude its investigation within 48 hours of the incident. Schefter noted that video evidence was clear and that a decision would likely come before the next slate of games. The league has made player safety and conduct a priority in recent years, implementing stricter penalties for various infractions both on and off the field. The altercation has generated massive attention across social media platforms, quickly becoming one of the most discussed moments of the NFL week. Video clips showing the punch and Patrick Mahomes' stunned reaction have been viewed millions of times on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans from both sides have flooded comment sections, arguing over who instigated the conflict and what disciplinary action should follow. The hashtag number ChiefsLions trended for more than 12 hours after the game, sparking debates among analysts, reporters, and even former players about sportsmanship and accountability in high-pressure moments. This confrontation adds another chapter to an already turbulent NFL season, marked by multiple discussions surrounding player behavior and league discipline. Earlier in the year, several players faced suspensions for aggressive tackles, unsportsmanlike conduct, and violations of the league's personal conduct policy. The NFL continues to walk a fine line encouraging competitive intensity while emphasizing safety, respect, and professionalism on and off the field. The outcome of the league's investigation will be closely watched not only by Chiefs and Lions fans, but by the entire football community. How the NFL chooses to address this post-game altercation could set a new precedent for handling similar incidents, shaping expectations for player conduct and the culture of accountability in the league moving forward.